Alright, hello everybody, this is Video Boy, and welcome to episode 14 of LibGDX 2D game development tutorials. So, let's see what we did last episode. So last episode we added the explosions and the health bar at the bottom. This is a pretty big episode, and this episode we're going to add the game over screen with the high score and all that. And so that's going to require some saving to files and a couple other little things that we haven't done yet that are really important for game development. So yeah, it should be an interesting episode. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, go into the core project, in the screens package, and we'll create a new screen. So class, call it game over screen. Alright, and then for interface, we'll add screen. That was already there. Okay. So like with the other screens, we're going to have a constructor with the space game object. So we can get the batch to draw stuff. So space game. And we're also going to require a score. So it'll be an integer. So the reason why we need a score is when we're in the game, the main game screen, and the player dies, we want to pass the score into the game over screen so we can check if they beat the high score, and so we can display the score on the screen and things like that. So it doesn't have access to the main game screen from here, so we need to give it access to the score like that. Okay, and we'll create two integers here, so one is score, is high score. If it's the same data type, you can put them together and separate them with a comma. That's pretty cool. And this dot score is equal to score. Oh, whoops. That was supposed to be a constructor. Sorry about that. So public game over screen. Just copy that in there. I don't even know if we're going to use the show method. I don't think we did in the other screens either. We'll just close it. Alright. So now let's load the high score from the file. So this is using what LibGDX calls preferences. It's not just for LibGDX, they also have them for Android. And I think iOS too, but I know Android for sure calls them preferences. I mean, iOS probably has their own version of them if it's not called preferences. So the way you do it, preferences, just call it prefs, is equal to gdx.app.get preferences. And then the name, you just put the name of the game. We'll just put space game for now. Since the game doesn't really have a name, and we'll import the bad logic preferences. Okay. And then now we need to set the high score. So this dot high score is equal to prefs dot get integer, and the integer will be the key will be high score, and default value 0. So when it goes to get the high score in the file, it's going to look for, it's kind of like, it's not JSON, it's XML, but it's similar in a sense. So it's going to go look for the tag high score, and then it's going to get an integer value of it. If there is no tag called high score, it's going to use the default value, which is 0, and then it's going to set high score to that value. So if there's a high score, it's going to set it to the high score, and if there isn't, it's going to set it to 0 by default. Okay, so now we need to do an if statement. Let's just do some comments here. So get high score from save file. Alright, and then now let's do check if score beats high score. So the condition for that is very simple. If score is more than high score. Simple as that. Alright, so if it's more than that, what we need to do is we need to set in the prefs the new high score so it gets saved. So prefs dot put integer, and the key is high score, and the value of it is score. So we're going to put the current score into there if it beats the high score. And for prefs, you cannot forget to do this. You need to do prefs.flush. What this does is it basically saves the file. So when you do prefs, you open up the file, and then you can put stuff in it, but it's only putting in the object until you flush. When you flush, it's going to actually save it to the file. So you absolutely need to do that, or else it won't save properly. Okay, so we have all this set up now. Now let's get some textures. So I added a new texture for this tutorial. It should be on the GitHub. It's just a game over logo kind of thing. So let's start off by creating some final variables. So private static final int banner width equal to 350. Just copy that. And the banner height will be 100. So the banner is that picture I just showed you. Alright, let's create a texture object for it. So texture game over banner. And we're also going to need a font later, so might as well write it in now. Bitmap font, score font. Same name as in the main game screen if you guys remember that. Texture. Okay. So now let's actually load the texture. So let's do a comment. Load textures and fonts. Load textures and fonts. Alright. Game over banner equal to new texture. String. I think it was game underscore over. Pretty sure it is. If not, it'll give us an error and we'll fix it. Okay, and the font, score font is equal to new bitmap font. Give it a file handle, so gdx.files.internal. And the path to it was fonts.score.fnt. Alright. So now let's actually start rendering. So we need to create the basic clear screen. So where is that? There's some code here. So it's a GDX calls to clear the screen and batch.begin. Let's just copy those over. Sorry, sneeze. Alright, and then we end the batch. Alright, so within here we're going to draw the different things. So let's start by drawing the actual banner. So game.batch.draw. Game over banner. Alright, we're going to center it. So gdx.graphics.getWidth divided by 2 minus banner width divided by 2. And the height, we're going to set it to the height of the screen. gdx.graphics.getHeight minus the banner height minus, just say 15. And then we have to set a width and height of the image so it scales to that. Banner width, banner height. Alright, so what's this going to do? It's basically going to draw the banner at the top of the screen, and there's going to be a 15 pixel difference between the top of the screen and where the banner starts, like at the top of the banner. So yeah, that's what it does. You have to subtract the banner height because remember it draws at the bottom left corner of the image. Alright, so let's test it out. So what you could do to test it out, you can go in here and do play and then try to force yourself to die. Actually, we didn't even add the code to open up the game over screen. But for testing purposes, you can just modify some stuff. So you just go into space game, and when the game starts, we tell the game to start in the main menu screen. But for now, we can always just do game over screen. Now it's going to require us to give it an integer for the score. We'll just put 0 to test. Doesn't really matter. Control Shift O to import. Okay, I just did a little spelling mistake here. Supposed to be slash. There you go. So we have the game over logo, pretty basic. So now let's add the score, the high score, and we're also going to add 2 buttons to return to the main menu or try again. Just like a pretty much standard game. Alright, so to start out, let's create a glyph layout for the score. So glyph layout, call it score layout. This is for the score. Let's go to new glyph layout. It's going to use the score font, and the string will be score. And we're going to do something a little different here. Okay, so the reason why I added this \n, this tells the glyph layout that you want to start a new line here. So it's going to draw the score, and it's going to go onto a new line and then write the score. So when I tested it out with this font and everything, and we did the text, and they didn't do a new line, the score went off the screen. So that's why I did this. But because we're doing this, we're going to have to add a couple of other constructors so that it actually works. So we need to use another constructor. So it requires you to give it a color. So let's do color.white. And then it says recommended width. Just do 0 because we're not going to be using that anyways. And then it needs an alignment. So we'll do center. Actually, for simplicity, we'll just do left. And the last thing is a boolean asking if it wraps or not around a certain width. And we're going to say false. We could use that, but we don't really need that for now. Okay, and let's add the high score layout. So we'll just copy it. Score font, high score, and the rest is the same. Alright, so let's actually draw them now. So we need to use score font dot draw, use this constructor, pass game dot batch, and then the first one we're going to draw is the score layout. So, and the X and Y, so we're going to center this one also. So we're going to do GDX.graphics.get width divided by 2 minus score layout dot width divided by 2. And the height, for the height we're going to draw it a little bit below the game over banner. So to do that, we're going to need to use the height of the screen again. So GDX.graphics.get height minus the banner height minus 15. I'll do times 2. So it's just because we need a second buffer, a second padding. So the first padding of 15 is going to be at the top of the banner, so at the top, and then the banner is going to display, and then there's going to be a padding of 15, and then it's going to draw the text. Let's actually just look at it, see what it looks like. See? So padding of 15, and then the image. By the way, the image is a lot of white space, so it's more than 15 really for the padding. And the score. Okay, so we can almost just copy this. I want to explain something too. The reason why we're not subtracting the height of the score layout here is because the way glyph layouts work is they draw from the top right, top left instead of the bottom left. So that's just a little bit weird for us since we're used to having images. Yeah, let's just images usually draw from here, but glyph layouts draw from the top. So it's still on the left, but it's on the top instead. So we don't need to account for the space here. So it can be useful if you're drawing from the top, but if you're drawing from the bottom, it's kind of annoying. But it's just something you have to account for. But we will be using the height of the score layout for here because we're going to have to subtract that. So here it's high score layout and high score layout width, and we're going to do times 3 because there's 3 buffers of 15 pixels, more like a padding I should say, and score layout dot height. We're using the score layout because we're subtracting from the height of this one. So it's taking 15 pixels, draws the game over thing, takes another 15 pixels, draws a score, takes another 15 pixels, draws the high score. That's how that works. By the way, the high score is really high because when I was testing, I was trying with a high score. And I'm using the same exact method to get the file. And I called it the preferences space game also. So we're just getting the high score. I'll show you guys where the file is after for that. Okay, so we're going to have to hurry up this episode a little bit. It's getting pretty long. Alright, so now we're going to create 2 new glyph layouts. These are going to be for the try again and return to main menu buttons. So glyph layout, try again, layout, click the new glyph layout. Also use the score font. And the text for it will be try again. Okay, and then we're going to create a new one again. Call it main menu layout, I guess. Alright, so we're going to create a few variables here. We're going to create some floats. So we're going to need the x and y values of where we're going to be drawing these texts quite a bit. So we're going to define them now, and then so we can use them later on. So GDX, so we're going to center it again. 2 minus. We're doing a lot of centering in this game. I think we're all gonna be centering masters by the end of this tutorial series. Okay. And then the y, so try again, y is equal to GDX. So this one's actually going to be centered on the y-axis as well. Okay, and we can pretty much just copy this. I don't know if I ever showed you guys this, but this is a pretty neat trick. If you do Control F, it allows you to find stuff through the code, but it also lets you replace. So here, let's just say we want to replace. I selected a little bit too much here. Control F. Oh, it does this every time. There. So let's replace try again with main menu. And then now these 2 lines, instead of saying try again, it says main menu. It's pretty much the exact same code, so I might as well do that. And we're also going to have to do a padding on this one. We're also going to be drawn in the exact same spot pretty much. So this is going to be drawn a little bit, it's going to be drawn below the try again button. So we need to subtract the height of that button, minus 15, because then again it's the glyph layout. So it draws from the top left. Okay. And now let's create 2 variables to keep track of the touch. So where the player's player's touching the screen. So GDX.input.getX, and then touch y is equal to GDX.graphics.get height. So the reason why we have to get the height is because I don't remember. Yeah, I think we did that before in the last one on the main menu. But when we get the x and y of where the player is on the screen, it's actually like inverted. So it's 0, 0 is at the top left, and then the height is at the bottom. So we have to get the height of the screen and subtract it by the y. They just do this because that's how I think your computer actually manages where the y is, the y-axis. So you have to do that. Okay, so now we do a condition to determine if the buttons are being pressed. Okay, so if try again is being pressed. Okay, so first let's just check if GDX.input.is touched. Okay, so if none of them are touched at all, there's no point in even doing this code. Main menu. Okay, so now let's do the condition for try again. So if touch X is more than try again X, and touch X is less than try again X plus try again layout.width. So I think you guys remember kind of how this works from when we coded the main menu. So more than try again Y, and touch Y is less than try again Y plus I think I'm doing something wrong. Hold on a second. Oh yeah, I had this bug because the glyph layouts kind of tricked me again with the drawing on the top left instead of bottom left. So what we need to do is subtract the height. So try again layout dot height. So the reason for this, since it's being drawn from, I guess it's safe to run it. This is being drawn from here, from the top left. We need to make sure that the Y, so the Y is here. We need to make sure that the Y of the mouse or the person's touching on the touch screen is higher than the Y of this minus the height. So it's higher than here. That's the baseline. And we need to make sure that it's less than the Y. So it's not exactly the same as in the main menu because the glyph layouts are kind of confusing in that they're completely different. But yeah, you guys should get it, I think. Okay, so if it's being touched and we're within the bounds of the try again button, that means the person's clicking the try again button. So this dot dispose, so we're going to dispose the screen. Then end the batch because we did start it. And we're going to set the screen of the game to new game main game screen. We need to pass game through it. And then we'll return so we don't run any more code. Alright, and then now let's just copy this over and do it for the main menu. And then this, we can use the Control F thing again. So try again, replace it with main menu, replace all, and then change this to main menu screen. Alright, and then now we actually have to draw the buttons. So that's simple enough. So let's do some little comments here. Draw buttons, score font, dot draw, game dot batch. We'll start with the try again layout. Oh no. Okay. When I did the replace all, it replaced for the whole code. So you got to be careful for that. That happens to me sometimes. I have no idea why. It's okay. We just have to undo. Did it again. Alright. Well, let's just stop being lazy and let's do it manually. keeping the capital at the beginning. Main menu. Main menu. Alright, then you have to change this again. Alright, cool. Okay, so now let's draw it like we're supposed to. So score font.draw game.batch. Try again layout, the X. Remember we have the try again X and the try again Y. So that makes it nice and simple. And score font.draw game.batch. Main menu layout, main menu X, main menu Y. And do the comments. And I think that's pretty much all we have to do. Couple of things. So let's just test it out. There's a couple of things we need to do to make it actually functional. So if you click try again, you go into the game. That's good. And if you click main menu, you go into the main menu for a split second, and there's a little problem. I'll explain to you guys why that happens in a couple of seconds. I just want to actually, I'll just explain it now. So basically what happens is when the person clicks on here, for a split second that they click, it runs the code and then it goes into the main menu. But technically, since it's just a split second, it's a really small amount of time, the person can still be clicking when it goes into the other menu. And since the buttons are at the same space on the main menu, you'll see real quick, the play button, it went light. So yeah, it made the play button also get pressed. So for next week, well, in the comments, I'd like to see what solution you guys can find for it. There's so many different solutions you can do for that problem. And I'm kind of curious to see what you guys can do about that. So put in the comments what you found for your solution, and I'll share you guys a solution you might not have thought of, because it uses a new LibGDX tool that we're going to use. So just put that in the comments, and I think it'll be pretty interesting. So there's a couple little thing we need to do real quick, and that's actually wait, so in the space game, let's change this back to main menu screen, because now we're going to do it properly this time. So take away that too. We have to import, save. Alright, so this checks for collisions with the player and the asteroids. So the health subtracts, and now we need to check if health is depleted. Go to game over screen. Alright, so if health is less than or equal to 0, so if it's 0 or negative, then we need to this.dispose, so dispose the screen. The batch isn't running, so we don't need to end that like we did on the last one, but we can just go to it. So just game.set screen, new game over screen. Whoops, not this game. Oh, and we have to pass the score. And we'll return so we don't run any more code in here. Alright, sweet, so let's just try it out now, see how it looks. Alright, so we can get a little bit of score here, just try to die mostly. We'll see our score is 300. There you go, game over. Tells us the score, tells us the high score in the file, and then asks us if we want to try again or main menu. And you can try again, it all resets. Alright, and this episode's getting really long, it's like 30 minutes now. But I wanted to show you guys real quick where LibGDX stores the actual preferences. So if I can actually find it. Maybe it's in documents. I think I'm going to have to Google this real quick. I'll be right back. Alright, so it was literally right in front of my face. So you need to go into your user folder, and then the .press folder. It might actually be hidden. You click on that, and then it's going to show you the preferences for the different games. So here's the Archipelago one, actually. I'll show you guys real quick. You see it stores the password, it stores the username, and it stores whether to remember it or not. And I'll show you the one for the space game. So see, there's the properties, and then there's an entry. So the key, as we wrote, high score, and then it says the value of it is 1900. So yeah, that's basically where it's stored. Android is different, iOS is different, HTML5 is different, but that's what it is for Windows. At least desktop and Mac is also different. But yeah, that ends off this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please leave a like. And also, if you have friends who are interested in this kind of stuff, please share the channel with them. It helps it grow a lot. And if you're new, please subscribe. And I'll see you guys next week's tutorial. Won't be next Friday. It's not even going to be next week exactly. It's going to be the week after. I think I'll do it maybe Tuesday or Monday the week after. I'm not sure where the date is for that. I think it might be like the 15th or something. 15th or 16th, I think. So I'll do it then. Anyways, so yeah, that wraps it up. And see you guys next time. Goodbye.